Mr. Chairman, sir, at the outset, I would like to thank the honorable members who participated in this discussion for some of the very valuable suggestions they have made generally in respect of the administration of the state. I should like to make particular reference to the speech of the honorable lady member. It was really an amazing feat that she was able to refer to almost all the activities of the government and produce facts and figures not out of date but up to date facts and figures with reference to the various aspects. Sir, I should also refer to the speech of the Honorable, the leader of the opposition, particularly to the great care with which he prepares his speeches. That should be an example, particularly to the younger members not only of this house but also of any legislature. And when I make mention of these two speeches, it is not as if I do not appreciate the other speeches made on the floor or the house. On the whole, it was at a fairly high level, and I can boldly say here that as far as I am concerned, I was greatly benefited by listening to the discussion in this house. Sir, it is but natural when we discuss about the administration of the state, some buckets are passed on and some brickbats are also thrown, and sometimes the buckets are passed on with some brickbats hidden in them. I not only welcome the buckets but more than that, I welcome the brickbats also, because that alone would make us aware of the actual state of affairs. Therefore, I would like to assure the House and the Chief Whip of the opposition that we are never complacent about our achievements. On the other hand, we are aware of what little we have achieved and what more we have yet to achieve. Therefore, if any member has pointed out that there is much more to be achieved, we greatly welcome it, because it is not the attitude of the government that everything has been done. If everything has been done, perhaps, as was once pointed out by the Honorable the Industries Minister and the leader of the House, we ourselves may become functionless. I greatly welcome the suggestions made by the Honorable the leader of the opposition, particularly with reference to the functioning of the parties in the legislature with special reference to the coming elections. Every political party has not to participate in the election campaign, and certainly the party in power has also got to participate in that election campaign. I am in complete agreement with the Honorable the leader of the opposition that in the process the party in power ought not to have any undue advantage, but at the same time, may I also plead that they should not be put in any undue disadvantage simply because they are in power. Therefore, if it is necessary to participate in the election campaign, it is not possible to exclude the ministers from that campaign, but it is also necessary to create healthy precedents and traditions so that any party in power may not make use of their official position for the purpose of election campaign. As a matter of fact, during the last election, for a few months before the election, we imposed on ourselves some restraints voluntarily, particularly with reference to the participation of ministers in official functions. It was made quite clear that whenever a tour was undertaken during the period of any election campaign, even though there might be some official function added to it which could not be avoided, still it was considered to be a private tour of the minister. No travelling allowance was drawn from the government, and government vehicles also were not used by the minister at that time. Therefore, sir, as a matter of fact, the government have already indicated to the chief secretary that he should clearly specify the restrictions and restraints which the ministers will have to subject themselves to during the election campaign. Certainly that period will have to be limited to 3 or 4 months. whatever the other party representatives may consider reasonable. I feel perhaps 3 months before the filing of the nominations may be an appropriate period. I do remember that this matter was raised when Rajaji was the chief minister here. He had left a note that ministers are not like the officials, but they are political figures also, and therefore, as political figures, they have got to participate not only in official functions but various other functions also. They have got to keep themselves informed of the developments taking place in the country. Without being aware of these developments, ministers may not be able to function properly, particularly if they confine themselves to the office and to their files alone. Therefore, I do welcome the suggestions made by the Honorable, the leader of the opposition, that we should create healthy traditions so that the coming generations may be greatly benefited by what we do here today. Then, coming to the budget discussion, as such reference was made to the finances of this state. I myself felt quite happy that during the last 5 or 6 years we were having a fairly good time, even though we have had to encounter very many difficult situations now and then in implementing the second plan. On the whole, we have a good job and we did get sufficient finance to meet all the essential expenditure. With the experience which I have had as finance minister, I can disclose this to this house. No worthwhile project was given up for want of finance. Whenever any scheme was put forward, it was not looked at from the point of view of availability of finance. The scheme was scrutinized from the aspect whether it was a good scheme or whether it was a necessary scheme. Once we came to the conclusion that it was good necessary scheme, we were able to find the finance to it. I do not think I should take more of your time and the time of the house. Every point raised by the honorable members would be considered. I thank you very much for your indulgence.